In a fight that was originally scheduled for July 17th, we have Miles Johns representing Fortis MMA taking on Brazil's Anderson dos Santos, and unfortunately for Anderson dos Santos, he went a little Fed smoker and he didn't follow Proto, buddy. And now we're here because he was out due to COVID protocol. So he broke Proto, now he's back, and we get this fight once again. But Matt, we talked about this 2 weeks ago.
We did.
We're going to throw it back to that video, update the odds, and give our final pick and prediction on this. Fortis MMA's own Miles Johns, and for Chapo, which is just a concerning nickname, Miles Johns is one of those guys that I thought I had the greatest read on him coming into the UFC. He was a former LFA bantamweight champ. He beat Adrian Yanez by split decision to win that belt. He ends up on Contender Series, beats Richie Santiago. We're off to the races. Has a split decision fight against Cole Smith that honestly could have gone either way. Cole Smith really came on strong at the end of that one. And then he got finishes next time out, and now we're here. Now, I say that, he won his last fight where he knocked out Kevin Natividad, who came in on short notice, and it was an amazing knockout. But the knockout against him, against Mario Bautista, was one of those ones where it's a wild flying knee. It seemed like all momentum was stopped, and I didn't know what I could get out of Miles Johns in that fight against Natividad. Flip of the coin for Anderson dos Santos. This is a guy that really had a huge win over a recognizable name in Ricky Simone. He beat him for the Titan Championship. He submitted him even. He takes a little bit of time. He ends up in the UFC. He fights Nad Narimani. He loses by decision. He fights Andre Ewell. He loses by decision. Then he takes on the Taekwondo master. And I joke about that, but he was actually very credentialed in Taekwondo, and Martin Day. And really all he had to do was throw hammers until he could clinch and get him down and finish him. I had my reservations in that fight. If I'm not mistaken, I probably picked Martin Day because I look at the stat line and I go, Anderson dos Santos is how old? And that's the weird thing. Like, it's almost like he doesn't age, and he's got 29 pro fights, and he will be on fight night a week away from his 36th birthday. Can you believe that?
It really is wild. And on a fight card that has a 44-year-old Marion Renault in the co-main event. These are strange times we're living in, but this should be an interesting fight. Really, the only question comes down to, how good is Miles Johns, and how much stock can you put into that knockout loss? Because if you take out the loss to Mario Bautista, he should win this fight. He really should. Just technically, I feel like he is better in most aspects of MMA. And this thing about Anderson dos Santos, I can admit I don't have a great read on him because the commentary talks like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. How he's like, oh wow, you gotta watch out for him on the feet, you gotta watch out for him on the mat. Like, he's so good in all these areas. And then you actually watch him against other guys who, listen, it's not like he's fought the highest level of competition, but still, it's not like he's been fighting just the worst fighters ever. And then he fights Martin Day. Here's the thing. Martin Day is on the lower level of what a UFC fighter can be.
We were sold a bill of goods.
We were sold a bill of goods. But if you actually have watched Martin Day's career, it just hasn't really worked out for him in the UFC. And the fact that he's Anderson dos Santos' only quality win is a little bit concerning. Even go back to the Andre Ewell fight. Like, that's probably the reason I have so much stock in Andre Ewell, because he looked phenomenal in that fight. And in all the lead up, it was, oh, you gotta watch out for the boxing of dos Santos. Like, I know Andre Ewell's good, but you gotta watch out for the power of dos Santos. He just got boxed up the whole entire fight, and he could never catch Andre Ewell. He's not really good at closing down the cage or cutting it off. He really does just kind of throw bombs into a sloppy takedown attempt, and if it works, it works. It's just, I don't really think that style works against the upper level fighters in the UFC, and it's not that Miles Johns is at that level yet, but I definitely think he's more likely to achieve a top 15 status one day than Anderson dos Santos is.
For Anderson dos Santos, one of those guys, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, trains out of a smaller gym, I would say, and I want to get it right, Babuino Gold Team. And if you look at it for Miles Johns, we talked about it, the Fortis MMA connection. He's been there for some time now, fighting out of Dallas. And listen, if I know anything, Saif Saud's going to come in with a good game plan. Yeah. If you've got the jiu-jitsu of like a Diego Ferreira in your back pocket, it's definitely something good. But a lot of great training partners to work with over there at Fortis. Alright, so unfortunately the UFC had to say ta-ta there, fella, and pull the first fight, but now we get this one, and that's about all the Fed Smoker thing quotes that I really have in this one. Matt, if you take a look at the odds, Miles Johns still the favorite in this one, open to -200, he's a -210 for Anderson dos Santos, somewhere around a +170, a +169. The Topology votes, they're a mystery. So let's pull the page down. 92% of fans over on Topology, 757 total votes, have John, 73% by decision. 8% have Dos Santos to win, 53% by decision. But if we've learned anything about the odds and the Topology votes, throw them out the window. So when you're really breaking down this fight, and again, I think we gave a decent account of it the first time, What are you thinking as far as the result here?
I still like Miles Johns. Anderson dos Santos submitted Martin Day. That doesn't mean that much to me, I'm sorry. And listen, I might be like the face of the Martin Day hater club, and I don't mean to be. It's just, he was never that great of a fighter in the UFC, and that was one of those weird fights where it was almost like he got himself in a bad position, and Anderson dos Santos just happened to capitalize over it. I like the future of Miles Johns. I really do like his skill set moving forward. I like Johns in this fight.
I think with Johns, the pressure, the wrestling, everything that he brings into it, Anderson dos Santos is one of those guys that one hard shot and he can knock your lights out, and from there, he can implement his jiu-jitsu. That's what makes him a really tricky, wily veteran of the game. But for me, again, I agree with you. I like the skill set of Johns, particularly in this fight. So for now, we're both going with Saif Saud's guy. Unfortunately, his guy couldn't get it done in the main event last weekend, but hopefully can on the prelims. And we're taking Johns. Now, Matt, I absolutely love this division. In the co-main event, you have Jose Aldo taking on Pedro Munoz. And in the main event, Derek Lewis, in front of the hometown crowd, is going to be taking on the French fighter, Cyril Gane. You're not going to want to miss that video and the rest. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say. Let's get into it.